What's up, everybody? My name is Emil Sardarian. I am the owner of the Instagram page Standemup. You may know me, you might not, whatever. Let's just get into it. This is my first picks and predictions type video, and well, my first solo one. I'm going to be talking about UFC Fight Night Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak. Not the most exciting fight night to start with, but you have to start somewhere. So let's just get into it. First, I will start with the main event: Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak. This is a typical brawler versus wrestler type matchup, and yeah, I mean, Derek Lewis is pretty good against wrestlers. I don't know why, because he doesn't have a good ground game. He has a shit ground game, to be honest, but he kind of just makes it work. I don't know how, but he does. But he's fighting as Sergey Spivak, who's a young up and comer. Both are 6'3". Sergey Spivak is the guy who's a little bit lighter, but I don't know if that's a bad thing, to be honest, because he has great cardio because of it. Well, Derek Lewis, he doesn't really have the greatest cardio. So, Derek Lewis has the power. Obviously, he has the power advantage. He might be the hardest hitting heavyweight of all time. Maybe Ngannou, maybe him. I don't know. But yeah, let's just get into the stats real quick. 4-1 for Sergey Spivak, 2-3 for Derek Lewis. But let's see who these guys have faced. In the wins, he KO'd Curtis Blades and Chris Daukaus, two good fighters, while Sergey Spivak has beat Jared Vandera, who just frankly should not be fighting in the UFC. It makes no sense that he's still active. He's fought 2 weeks ago even. It makes no sense. And Alexei Olenek, not too bad. Derek Lewis beat him as well. So, and then Greg Hardy, yeah. I mean, we can see the level of competition isn't too great for Sergey Spivak. He's lost to Tom Aspinall as well, which, to be fair, Derek Lewis would have lost to Tom Aspinall too. But the level of competition is just not the same. Derek Lewis has fought the best of the best. He has wins over some great fucking fighters. It makes no sense how good Derek Lewis actually is, but he's getting old. He's lost his last two by KO, got slapped by Taito Ivasa, and then got beat by Sergey Pavlovich. A bit of an early stoppage, but I think that Derek Lewis doesn't really have it in him anymore. I wouldn't say he's washed, but he's going down, that's for sure. And that's why I have Sergey Spivak here. I think that he'll just grind him out and get a KO or TKO like in the third or the fourth round. Derek Lewis, he might just catch him and KO him because he has big power, and Sergey Spivak doesn't really react well to shots. I don't know why. Maybe his chin isn't too great, but it kind of feels like he wilts sometimes under pressure. So it's a heavyweight main event, so you never know. But I'm definitely going with Sergey Spivak. Up next, we got Ion Cutelaba versus Kenzin Nzechukwu. My bad. I'm just going to be using typology from now on. This is an interesting fight at light heavyweight to me. I mean, it's kind of weird as the co-main event, so it kind of shows how weak this card is, to be honest, because at the UFC 281 it would be maybe his first or second fight on the card. But let's just look at the records. 1-1 and 1-4, 1-3 and 1-1. I'm retarded. My bad. 1-3 and 1 in his last 5, while Kenzin Nzechukwu 3-2 in his last 5. Pretty young guys for light heavyweight, 30 and 28. I'd say they're like just outside the rankings. Ion Cutelaba has fought like good levels of competition. Magomed Ankalaev, obviously one of the best, future title contender for sure. He's lost to Ryan Spann, who is doing big things, just knocked out Dominic Reyes, and he's lost to Johnny Walker, who's always dangerous. So, the losses aren't like to some bumps. And he has a draw against Dustin Jacoby, which is pretty good too, because Dustin Jacoby is right outside the rankings as well. So win over Darren Clark, who's also a good fighter. So the record, I mean the win-loss ratio isn't too amazing, but he's fought the best of the best, so I don't blame it. And Kenzin Nzechukwu, he's beat Carlos Ulberg, who's doing amazing right now, so that's a pretty good win. Aged really well. Beat Danilo Marquez, who isn't good. Just he isn't good. So he was losing the fight as well, so doesn't really bode well for him. He's lost to Daeun Jung by standing elbows, which was a weird KO because those were just elbows on while Azachuk was blocking. So it was a kind of a weird KO. Lost to Nikolai Negumirianu, which, it was a close fight. I thought Kennedy won, but whatever. Not mad at the decision. And then he dominated Carl Robertson, who frankly should just not be fighting in the UFC. Ion Cutelaba is a great wrestler, while Kenzo Chukwu is a all-around kind of guy. He's a good striker, but he's shown in his last few fights that his wrestling is good as well. In this fight, to be honest, I have no idea who I'm going with, because both guys are just very unreliable. Because Ion Cutelaba is like amazing for 1.5 round, and after that it's kind of going downhill. Well, Kennedy and Zachukwu, he needs some time to like really get into it, and even then he isn't like too amazing. So I'm going with Kennedy because I feel like his wrestling is good enough to negate the wrestling of Ion Cutelaba, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ion wings a fucking overhand and just knocks out Kennedy and Zachukwu. It's a hard surname, man. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ion just nukes him, because Kennedy's defense isn't too amazing as well. So I'm going with Kennedy and Zachukwu by, I'll say, 3rd round TKO, as Ion Cutelaba tires, and when he does in the 3rd round, he might be the worst light heavyweight of all time. So I'm going with Kennedy and Zachukwu here. Then we got Chase Sherman versus Waldo Cortes Acosta. This is the main event, the real main event, guys. The people's main event, people's champ Chase Sherman, who is 1-4 in his last 5, who's lost 4 fights in a row, and just came back and beat the shit out of Jared Vanderaa, who might be heavyweight that has been walking around in the UFC modern era. But Chase Sherman's fighting Waldo Cortes Acosta, who's 8-0 and also beat Jared Vanderaa, but less impressively in my opinion. He beat him via a unanimous decision. But to be honest, I'm not sure who will win this fight. These are just some heavyweights who will throw down, and it's truly a coin flip. So if we're talking about coin flips, we'll just do one coin flip, guys. I just realized I didn't even say who was on which side, but this is Waldo Acosta. I'm going with Waldo here by a boring heavyweight decision win. So we're going with Muslim Sarkov versus Andre Fiallo. This is a pretty good fight, to be honest. Like, this should be higher up on the card. I would rather see this as a main event, to be honest, because these guys actually have some cardio, although both have kind of a bit of a cardio issue, but whatever. Two welterweights, two good welterweights with some knockout power. Muslim Salikov lost his last fight against Li Jingliang, who is the Chad of the welterweight division, so that's not a bad win to have. He beat Trinaldo, beat Alessio Dos Santos, beat Staropoli, and also beat Nordin Taleb. The man is not too active, but like, after getting knocked out for the first time in his life, he's decided to come back in 3 months. It makes no sense, because when he's winning, he's like fighting once a year, but when he gets KO'd, he's like, nah, I gotta get back in there, bro. 3 months in, let's go. Just got KO'd. 3 months later, he wants to get in there. Makes no sense to me. But he's fighting a guy who has a lot of power in his hands, so I'm kind of scared for Muslim. Andre Fiallo did get KO'd as well in his last fight against Jake Matthews. It was bad. Great performance by Jake Matthews. He got fucking nuked in that fight as well. But before that, he beat Cameron Van Camp by KO and beat Miguel Baeza by KO as well. So everyone was real high on him until he got knocked the fuck out by Matthews. And me too, to be honest. Like I was real high on Andre Fialho. I was like, yeah, this man is going to do some great things at welterweight, but he got KO'd the fuck out. This fight is close, very close, because Muslim Salikov is old. He's 38. He just got KO'd, and I don't know why, but I have a feeling that he'll get KO'd again. He's old. He's a Russian, so he probably has good wrestling. He has good wrestling, but like nothing too amazing. But I feel like he might use it against Andre Fialho, who has a problem with his cardio. So if he drains him, he could get a decision win in here. I'm not too high on Andre Fialho anymore, so I'm going with Muslim Salikov by a decision where he like wet blankets Andre Fialho. Then we have Jack Della Maddalena versus Danny Roberts. This is the fight we should be watching, guys. Jack Della, 12-2. Like last 5 fights, all won, pretty sure. Like 4 of them by KO. Yep, 4 of them by KO. 1 of them by decision versus Anjay Lusa, who's good as well. So not a bad, a great one to have. He's fighting Danny Roberts, Hot Chocolate, who is 2-3 in his last 5. He should be 1-4 in my opinion, because he definitely lost against Ramazan Imiev. I lost money on that, so I'm salty still. That was a year ago, but fuck you. He's lost against Francisco Trinaldo, who's 27-8. It's, I mean, nothing to be ashamed about. Trinaldo, although he's like 49 years old now, he's like 42, 43 years old. He's still good, so it's not too bad of a win. But I feel like if he loses to Francisco Trinaldo, Jack Della will fucking dominate his ass and get a KO in the first round. Danny Roberts, pretty sure he got knocked down by a jab of Trinaldo. So Jack Della Maddalena would probably do some back things to that guy. He's 26 years of age. He's fucking good, man. I'm like 99% sure he'll knock him out in the first round. I'd be kind of shocked if he doesn't. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't knock him out in the first round, but I'd be shocked if he doesn't win this fight. Yeah. If Jack Della Maddalena wins, just give him the winner of Salikov versus Fialho. I feel like that makes sense. Just an uppercomer versus some old guy, just like this fight, but on a higher level. And then next up we have Zhalgas Zhumagulov. I'm probably the only English-speaking guy who'll say his name right. It's Zhalgas Zhumagulov. So if you're watching this, Zhalgas, you're welcome, bro. He's fighting Charles Johnson. Damn, Zhalgas is 1-4 in his last 5. I did not expect that. I mean, I knew he was been losing a few fights in the UFC, but 1-4 is kind of bad. He lost to Julian Paiva, which, you know, Paiva is a pretty good fighter. Lost to Amir Albazi, which, again, good fighter. Won against Jerome Rivera. Everyone has beaten Jerome Rivera in the UFC. Manel Kape by KO. Manel Kape's pretty good. And then a split decision loss to Jeff Molina. This one was very controversial. I haven't watched the fight myself. Oh yeah, I have. It was a close fight. I went with Zhalgas. It was very controversial though. I don't really care. It was a close fight, so I'm not mad either way. But Charles Johnson, that guy is 5'9". That's pretty crazy against a 5'4" guy. But the reach isn't too big, the reach advantage. But yeah, he's fought in LFA. He's a good fighter. He has great BJJ, but he's more of a striker. But his last fight, he lost to Mohamed Mokaev 3 months ago, which Mohamed Mokaev is a fucking beast. And Charles Johnson didn't do too horrible. He didn't get dominated, and he came in a short notice. I'm pretty sure. So it's he didn't do too bad. So I have kind of a lot of confidence, to be honest, in his fight against Zhalgas, because he's obviously the better striker, and I feel like he will be able to fight off the takedowns and just the clinch of Zhalgas. And I might go for a KO, but these are flyweights, so I'm just going for a safe decision here. I'm going with Charles by decision. Next up, we have Jennifer Maia versus Marina Moroz. These are prelims, so I'll kind of just go faster with these. Jennifer Maia, she's fought the much better levels of competition. What Marina Moroz has won 3 fights in a row. She's beat Sabina Mazu's ass almost 4 years ago. She beat Maria Bruna Silva, which is pretty good. And she beat Maria Agapova 7 months ago. That was 2 years layoff, but didn't face her whatsoever. She beat Maria Agapova, who has no ground game. She beat her by submission. So, this is a crossroads fight because Jennifer Maia, she isn't like in her prime anymore. She's going down a bit, and Marina Moroz, she is getting better. Not much better, but she's getting better. But in my opinion, Jennifer Maia is still the better fighter, still the better BJJ practitioner, and I feel like she'll just, I wouldn't say dominate, but I'd say she comfortably will win this fight by a 30-27 decision. Then next up, we got Miles Jones versus Vince Morales. Miles Jones, 12-2, lost his last fight against John Castaneda. Won the other 2 fights, both by KO, one of them being against Kevin Natividad. Before that, I got flying knee by Mario Bautista, who's doing real well right now. So the losses aren't too bad because John Castaneda is a good fighter as well. But Vince Morales, Vendetta, he's lost against Jonathan Martinez, which, Jonathan Martinez is amazing, man. I don't know how he isn't even ranked at this point. Bantamweight is so fucking stacked. And he beat the shit out of Lewis Smolka, KO'd him, and beat Draco Rodriguez by unanimous decision. But to be honest, Rodriguez is ass. So it's a close fight in my opinion. 2 pretty good strikers, but Miles Jones is the better wrestler in my opinion. I don't think that he will wrestle, but he could. Vince Morales is a good wrestler as well. But this is going to be a striking match, I think. And then I'll just have to go with Vince Morales because I feel like Miles Jones kind of quit against John Castaneda. He couldn't have it anymore. He got hurt, but he was kind of quitting in his head. He was going backwards the whole time. So I'm going with Vince Morales here by a decision. It wouldn't surprise me if Miles Jones won, but I'm just going with Morales here. And then we got the GOAT, Ricky Turcios, fighting against Kevin Natividad. Bantamweights, pretty Ricky Turcios. Well, whatever. He's fought 4 months ago, his last time out, which was the worst fight I've ever seen. Maybe, no, the worst fight I've ever seen is Rose Namajunas versus Carlos Esparza. That fight was absolute ass, bro, ass cheeks. But Ricky Turcios versus Ayman Zahavi, pretty sure it was Ayman Zahavi. Zahavi wasn't much better. Pretty sure Ricky only landed 10% of his strikes, which is horrible. I don't know what that fight was about. He lost a decision, and to be honest, after that, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut both guys who fought that fight. That fight made no sense. Ricky Turcios is the Ultimate Fighter winner. He beat Brady Easton to get that title, but after that, he's shown us nothing but weird stuff. And then we have Kevin Natividad, who has lost both of his UFC fights, both by KO. Miles Jones and Dana Badgari. 2 guys with big power, so shit happens. Especially Badgari, the man has some scary power and is a good striker. So it's not a shame to lose to those guys, but in this fight, I feel like Ricky Turcios is still the better fighter if he just shows up doing his being normal like he was against Brady Easton or like he was against some guys of the Ultimate Fighter. He'll definitely win this fight, but you just can't trust him to do so. I'm going with Ricky Turcios, but please, for the love of God, don't put money on this fight. Then we got Maria Oliveira versus Vanessa Demopoulos. First off, I just want to say that Vanessa got gifted her fight against what's the name, Jinyu Frey. Like that was a bad decision in my opinion. But now she's fighting a very tall girl in Maria Oliveira, who's 5'6", and she has a 7-inch reach advantage here, and I feel like she'll just be able to use it to fend off the takedown attempts of Vanessa Demopoulos and just win a boring women's decision. Vanessa Demopoulos, her BJJ is real good, but I don't feel like she'll be able to take advantage of her of the bad BJJ of Maria Oliveira, because she won't be able to take her to the ground as she has zero wrestling. Then we got Fernie Garcia versus Brady Heastand. Brady Heastand, he's lost to Rick Turcios, like I said, in the Ultimate Fighter finale. His nickname is Bam Bam, not tied to Ivasa, but Brady Heastand is big bantamweight. He's fighting Fernie Garcia, who's a great boxer. He's lost his UFC debut against Johnny Newson. I feel like Fernie Garcia just didn't show how good he actually was in that fight. He's also the favorite here, which I do agree with. Although Brady Heastand hasn't fought in almost or more than a year. Yeah, a year or 2 months ago. He was 22 back then and he's 23 now. He's probably made some big improvements. So yeah, I'll just go off of the improvements I hope Brady Heastand has made to win this fight against Fernie Garcia, because he's actually a real good wrestler and the striking is coming along as well. I hope he will use his wrestling and just go out there and try to wrestle fuck Fernie Garcia, which I think he should be able to if he has made some improvements. Fernie Garcia isn't bad, so I wouldn't be surprised if he won that fight, but I'm going with Bam Bam. Then we got Natalia Silva versus Teresa Bleda. Natalia Silva, she has won her last fight against Jasmine Jusdavicius or whatever. It was a short notice fight, I'm pretty sure. She didn't fight for almost more than 2 years before she fought Jasmine Jusdavicius. She made big improvements, and that goes to show that young fighters should take some time off and just improve before getting into the octagon. Although getting some experience is good as well. But Natalia Silva is fighting Teresa Bleda, who is 6-0 right now. She's 20 years old, almost 21, but she's real good. Like, she's big as well. She's a good wrestler. Her striking isn't amazing. It's bad. Like, even for women's MMA, it's bad. But her wrestling, her grappling is real good, and I feel like she should be able to dominate, I'd say, against Natalia Silva if she gets the fight to the ground. She's big, she's strong, and she really uses her physicality, and I feel like she will against Natalia Silva and win a, let's see, decision, KO, TKO. I'm going with the decision because Silva's pretty good. So this was UFC Fight Night, Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.